And away we go with our very first paper this morning. It's Newsday this morning, and it's a newsy day, by the way, so quite a fits the title. So Newsday, our very first paper has it on the front page. Government sets grain producer prices. So that's what it's all about. As government sets grain producer prices, the government has opened up self-financed grain and cotton produce for purchase by contractors and private players for the 2022-2023 farming season, and has proposed a price of $335 per metric ton for maize and traditional grains purchased at the Grain Marketing Board (GMB). This is a good one. A welcome development. Well done. A good one. I mean, if you have it, why not use it? And this is the same thing that you have a lot of countries depending on Russia, Ukraine, and of course the war affecting this particular produce. And now you do have Zimbabwe looking into this. Great one indeed. Right there you find more stories there. On the front page you have a picture there. Police water cannons packed close to the home of slain Citizens Coalition for Change activist Mo Blessing Ali in Nyantasime Sike yesterday. Quite a sad story, by the way. Yes, if you do recall, the CCC had one of its activists killed. We'll talk about that story. Hopefully we can get our hands on our correspondent over there. Let's also bring you a quick one. Plan to secretly bury Ali remains fails. Plans to secretly bury Ali remains fails. That's still on that story. The family of slain the Citizens Coalition for Change activist Mo Blessings Ali has its own attempts to bury her remains over 6 months after she was brutally murdered by suspected ZANU-PF activist Pius Mukandi Jamba. And we'll look into this story, like I rightly said. Let's take just two more very quickly. On the front page there, Zim inflation slows down in December. Page 2 has that story. Zim inflation slows down in December. Winky D sings against intolerance. What a name, Winky D. Over to you, Olen.
All right, let's see what's happening in Tanzania as we see what's on the front page of the Citizen newspaper in East Africa. On the front page, we have Tanzania secures 650 billion shillings funding for BRT expansion. I beg your pardon. The Dar es Salaam Rapid Transit Agency is next year expected to engage contractors to undertake work on the 4th and 5th phases of the city's bus rapid transport network after the government secured funding from France and the World Bank. Still on the front page, you can see the photograph here that, there's a quote here that says, identification of residents who will be affected in the 4th phase has been finalized, and we are in the process of conducting a similar exercise for the 5th phase. Still on the front page, hospitality industry wary of Ukraine war. If you want to find out why this is, check out page 5 of the Citizen newspaper in Tanzania. Firm loses 4.2 billion shilling suit for mining without permit. On page 4. Tanzanian gold miners' families sue UK industry body. Details of that story is on page 2. Now, we look at the top of the paper. There are 3 segments. That's, of course, infrastructure, business with prospects, and international response. Under the national infrastructure, 70 billion shillings road set to unlock southern circuit tourism on page 3. And in the business with prospects angle, we see world economy braces for more pain after a gloomy year on page 11. Everyone can feel the impact of the gloomy year. It's a continent or a worldwide challenge, from the after effects of COVID-19 to the inflation that countries around the world are having to battle. Everyone's feeling the impact of the gloomy year. And on a final note, international response, China COVID pivot sparks jitters worldwide on page 16. Of course, it's understandable why this would spark jitters. Everyone remembers fresh just how much the impact of COVID-19 was. 2020 is a year we will never forget. Our lives were changed forever in 2019. And now just thinking that whilst they're still trying to get a handle of this, they're opening their country to the world. They're opening access to the world. Everyone's asking, how is this going to impact the countries of the world? These are conversations we should be having. But let's move away from East Africa to West Africa.
All right, let's come straight to Nigeria. First news is what we're taking a look at. First of all, we'll start off with the top there. 2023 fresh crisis hits LP over ZLP senatorial candidate Oshutoku's appointment as Obi's campaign DG. Now, the story is Oshutoku was actually running for a senatorial seat, and then he has also been picked So it's a little twist here and there, but we're not going to spill everything. Go ahead and pick up the first news and read up. And you can stick around with us. We'll give you all the details in our subsequent news bulletin. Let's go straight to another one. National Assembly to spend 30 billion naira on severance allowances.
Anytime I hear 30 billion, you know what I think of?
30 billion naira on severance allowances.
Wow. So that's actually good business. So your severance pay.
So you wonder why everyone wants to be a senator.
So when you know that when you're leaving, either way, it pays you in and it pays you on your way out. That's great.
You see why everyone wants to be a senator?
I know.
It's obvious.
But on a much lighter note, when I hear 30 billion, I think of Davido.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 30 billion
BG.
for the account.
Oh, so 30 BG now in the
Yeah.
Senate. Come on. 2023, Buhari charges of security agencies to remain apolitical. Says I'm very difficult to satisfy. That's what he says. All right, let's go straight to the big one that's gotten a lot of Nigerians talking. I think it's now the top two stories, aside from Rahim. Commotion in Senate over Buhari's 23.7 trillion extra budgetary spending requests.
Well,
As senators oppose, they oppose, suspend strange ways and means expenditure requests, pass, listen to this, 819.5 trillion naira supplementary budget as debt rises. Senate extends 2022 budget implementation to March 2023, adjourns plenary to January 17, 2023. So they closed on a very sumptuous note, looking at passing, and they did pass the supplementary budget, 819.5 trillion. We'll talk about that supplementary budget in the course of our conversation later on in our top stories. Anyway, 2023, it will be shameful for Buhari to hand over power to opposition, APC chairman says. And this story, it says Jagaban's army, children of Buhari, Osibajo, included in APC Youth Campaign Council. Children of Buhari, Osibajo included in APC Youth Campaign Council. Tinubu healthy.
Okay, that's good.
Tinubu healthy, intellectually fit to rule Nigeria. National Assembly passes 2023 budget of 21.8 trillion naira. Reps tackle ASU president over deception allegation against Gbajabiamila. Wike killed Igbo. 2023 presidency Ohanaeze youth say, and so many more.
They need to decide what side of the divide they're on. These Ohanaeze, sometimes I hear one side of the story, another time. I mean, every day we're hearing, on the one hand, Atiku is the road to Igbo presidency. Today we're hearing, Wike killed Igbo. Like, decide one side. I don't understand what's going on.
Anyway, the final story I'm just going to take here before we leave is slain Lagos lawyer. IGP suspends killer officer.
All right, that slain Lagos lawyer story is a conversation that we will not sweep under the carpet, because even this morning on my way to work, I was still having that conversation with someone who's not in the country, a friend. And it's just very sad watching the parents cry. The mother was saying how she hoped to send her daughter to school to be a lawyer. And just at the point where it feels like things were getting better for her, she'd waited 8 years to have these twins children that she was pregnant for. It's just very sad. And, unfortunate thing is that lots of Nigerians have lost faith in the police. The question is, has it even becoming as publicized as it is because of who she is?
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, a young boy was shot in that axis. I remember that there was traffic and they were sending photos.
Yeah,
the major concern was, there's traffic. If you don't have to go out, don't go out, because a boy was shot by the police and it's causing commotion. And it wasn't brought to the fore until Rahim's case happens.
We're going to touch on that as well, because we're going to take our time to dissect that story later on in our top stories. So we're also going to focus on the young man who was equally killed, and not just on the sad death of the lady. But in the meantime,